Haristutihi Shloka 20. Koshanetan pancha rasadin atihaya brahmasmiti swatmani nishchitya drishisthaha pitrashishto veda bhriguryam yajurante tam samsara dhvanta vinasham harim ide. Anvayarthaha रसादीन एतान पंचकोशान अतिहाय दृशिस्थः स्वात्मनि निश्चित्य पित्रा शिष्टः भृगुः यजुरन्ते ब्रह्मा अस्मि इति यं वेद तं संसार ध्वान्त विनाशं हरिम ईडे. Rasadina, the modifications of food visible in the form of this gross physical body, etc. Etan pancha koshana, these 5 sheets or covers. Atihaya, negating them as anatma. And then Drishisthaha, remaining as witness, Swatmani, within oneself itself, is Brahman, iti Nishchitya, ascertaining this knowledge. Pitra Shishtaha, after being taught by his father itself is the Guru. Bhriguhu, Bhrigu is the student, Shishya, the son is the student. Like this, when he, Yajurante, towards the end of the teaching in Taittiriya Upanishad, he understands Brahma Asmi iti, I am that Brahman indeed. Like this, Yam Veda, that which Brahman he understands as his own self, tam samsara dhvanta vinasham harim ide. I worship that Brahman who is known as Hari, the destroyer of ignorance which causes samsara. In the previous verse, it was mentioned that sage Varuna taught his son. The son itself is a great sage later on which is mentioned. So Bhrigu was taught about what is Brahman. In that process of teaching, how did Bhrigu learn, or what is the method in which Bhrigu was taught and he came to understand Brahman? That is the structure of this shloka. So for that, in very brief, we will look at the story. Upanishad presents this in the form of a short story dialogue between father and son. Father is the Guru and son is the Shishya. So this knowledge about Brahman is unfolded in the form of a very short story in the 3rd chapter of Taittiriya Upanishad. Son, who is known as Bhrigu, he asks for the teaching from his father Varuna. Then father Varuna, he himself is the Guru, and as a preceptor he teaches his own son who is the disciple and known as Bhrigu. Now, how did the student approach the teacher? How did Bhrigu approach Varuna is mentioned. Upanishad says that he approached Varuna in a very proper manner with great reverence, with Shraddha and Bhakti. It is then that Varuna, father and teacher, who employs a correct, appropriate methodology of teaching. So then, first the Sishya thinks that this physical body, Annamaya Kosha, is Brahman. And then that is discussed upon, and he knows, no, that's not Brahman. And then he thinks the 5 pranas, pranamaya kosha is Brahman. Then that is negated upon inquiry. And then manomaya kosha, the mind aspect, he thinks is Brahman. Then the father gives him more analysis, and then he knows that is also not Atma. Like that, he goes more interior and knows that the Vijnanamaya Kosha and then the Anandamaya Kosha both are also not Atma. The Anandamaya Kosha that he mistakes to be Atma or Brahman is also again experiential. Different grades of happiness are given by the Upanishad. So that is also found to be experiential only upon analysis. Because later it is negated as anatma. Like this, these 5 koshas or sheaths, kosha iva koshaha, the covering, are said to be the doorways to the realization of Brahman. Thus, the Pancha Kosha Viveka Prakriya, this teaching methodology of looking upon the 5 levels of experience and negating them, because each one can be objectified. And already we've been learning that anything that can be objectified is not Brahman. So, in this teaching methodology, the Guru unfolds that the very same self is Brahman, and that is of the nature of Anandam iti. Now we will see how this is implied in the shloka. Rasadina means anna rasavikara, the modifications of the food which is consumed. Rupa sthula dehadina. So, the modifications of food is in the form of this gross physical body. This is at the individual level. Then, going interior and looking upon the air, prana, etc., that is going to be mentioned. So, like this, pancha koshana vihaya, the 5 sheaths or covers starting from this Annamaya Kosha, they are negated as Anatma upon Pratyak Tattva Viveke Sati, upon adopting a process of analysis and then understanding the essential nature of Atma as Satyam. To ascertain that Brahman or Atma is distinct from all these modifications, Sri Vidyaranya Swami in his Prakarana Grantha Panchadashi, in the very first chapter, he says, Panchikrita bhutothaha dehaha sthulo na samyakaha linge tu rajasaihi pranaihi pranaha karmendriyaihi saha सात्विकैहि धी इंद्रियैहि साकं विमर्शात्मा मनोमयः तैरेव साकं विज्ञानमयो धीर्निश्चयात्मिका कारणे सत्वमानंदमयो मोदादिवृत्तिभिः. The meaning of these 5 lines is like this. Panchikrita bhutothaha dehaha, sthulaha, he says, and that's known as Annamaya Kosha. So here, Pancha Kosha, in that word, the Kosha actually means a sheath or a covering. But here, we should not imagine some physical covering which is present and that you can remove. It's not like that. It's just a medium which takes away the senses, draws the senses towards it, so that the real Atma, because of which all these are enlivened, that is missed. So, these Panchakoshas, the 5 levels of experience, which are as though covering, so therefore known as the sheath. They are covering the self, the Atma. What are these? The modified form of food, Annamaya Kosha, is the first sheath where there is error and one thinks that that is the self. Then upon enquiry, that is negated as anatma. Then the next sheath is the vital air, Pranamaya Kosha. Then more interior is the mind, Manomaya Kosha. Interior to that is the intellect, Vijnanamaya Kosha. More interior to that is almost pure happiness. Happiness in the sense of fullness and limitlessness. And very close to the wholeness of Brahman. That is Anandamaya Kosha. Now, the gross physical body, which is the product of the elements which have gone through a fivefold combination, that is known as the Annamaya Kosha. So, that portion of the subtle body, Sukshma Sharira, which is composed of the 5 vital airs, Pancha Pranaha, then along with it the 5 organs of actions, Pancha Karmendriyani, and these Pancha Karmendriyani are the product of Rajoguna, which belongs to Maya. This is known as Pranamaya Kosha. Then the next, the doubting mind, Samshayatmakaha Manaha, the 5 sensory organs, Pancha Jnanendriyani, and this Jnanendriyani itself are the product of predominance of Sattva Guna. So, the Samshayatmakaha Manaha, doubting mind with the 5 sensory organs and with the predominance of Sattva Guna, that comprises the mind, Manomaya Kosha. Then comes the determining intellect, known as Nishchayatmika Buddhihi. Along with the sensory organs, Jnanendriyani, that forms the Vijnanamaya Kosha or the intellect sheath or cover. Then the impure Sattva, which is in the causal body, Karana Sharira, along with happiness, Ananda, and other vrittis or thought modifications, forms the Anandamaya Kosha. All these I have explained in brief because our focus is to understand the stotra. Then, initially in this Anandamaya Kosha, the highest form of happiness, it is also experiential in nature because it changes in its intensity and the staying power as the person evolves and becomes more and more close to Atma, which is invariable. So, the different levels of this experiential happiness, which is the closest to Atma, this has been described in different terms, Moda, Pramoda, etc., in great detail in Taittiriya Upanishad. And then Atma as the substratum, locus of all these modifications is understood by the student. So, in Anandamaya Kosha, there is the variable Ananda component and also the invariable Ananda as the substratum. Then, as that invariable Ananda substratum, Drishisthaha is the Atma as the witness. So, you see that in the cause-effect assemblage of the body-mind-sense complex, that which inheres or that which is present in and through all this, but not is this itself, but not is the physical body-mind itself, that which enlivens and remains as a witness consciousness through these 5 levels of sheaths, that is the Atma. So Drishisthaha is the Chaitanyam, the consciousness which is present in all the Pancha Koshas, but itself is not any one of them at all. So the Pancha Koshas are variable, but the Chaitanyam is untouched, uninvolved in all these. How is it uninvolved? It is lending existence to all the koshas, but it itself remains a sakshi. So staying in that form, sthitaha sun, is the Atma. And where is that? Understood to be Swatmani, in the self itself. It's not somewhere outside. Now this Atma, which is recognized Swatmani within the self, is described by Taittiriya as Anando Brahmeti Vyajanat. That's how Bhrigu came to understand. So here in Anandaha Brahma, in that the word Ananda means the Chaitanyam, pure consciousness, and that itself is the nature of Brahman. So Anandaha Brahma iti Vyajanat means Bhrigu concluded and understood that the very nature of Brahman is Ananda. Then Nishchitya Pitra Shishtaha Bhriguhu Yajurante. So at the end of the teaching, Yajurante, Bhrigu, the student and son, as taught by his father, Pitra Shishtaha, he obtained ascertained knowledge. Nishchitya means no more doubts were left in his mind. How did he understand? He understood that the self is witness consciousness, Chaitanyam, and that is the Ananda spoken about in the mantra. So this Anandam Brahma is invariable, it is limitless, it is fullness, and that is the nature, Swarupa of Brahman. So that Brahman he understands as Aham Asmi, I am. So I, Atma, and that Brahman are essentially the same in nature. Iti yam Veda. Like this, in this method, the one who is understood, tam samsara dhvanta vinasham harim ide, that Brahman is worshipped, and I offer my prayers to, so that the benefit gained will be removal of ignorance, which is the cause of samsara. Koshan etan pancharasadin atihaya brahmasmiti swatmani nishchitya drishisthaha Pitra Shishto Veda Bhriguryam Yajurante Tam Samsara Dhvanta Vinasham Harimede. Namaste.